Stay tuned. Your program will begin shortly.
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 Welcome to High Valley Sports Online, Coach's Show, live as always from the Harp and Habit at Franciscan Square in Steubenville, Ohio. It's Ohio Week 5, West Virginia Week 4, and we're being joined first by head coach Reno Saccoccia of the Steubenville Big Red. This portion of the show being brought to you by the Fort Steuben Maintenance. Coach coming off of a Week 4 overtime win over Cardinal Mooney, 27-24, trailing 14-0 at the half. Came out and scored 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, limited running back Ike Lake in the second half. The offense came together, finished the night with 18 first downs and 340 total yards, 137 and 2 touchdowns on the ground, 203 and 2 TDs through the air. Kaijon Bryant finished with 158 total yards, 77 rushing, 81 receiving, and 2 scores. And Santino Haney was 14 of 22 passing. The defense stepped up big in the second half. Coach, talk about your performance this past week in that Mooney game.
Honestly, when you look at the film and break it down, we weren't as bad as we looked in the first half. We just, we gave up an 80-some-yard run for a touchdown, and we had one bad play in the first half, and it cost us. But looking back on the game, that was probably I've never been in a locker room like that at halftime, gone from bottom of the barrel to the longer the halftime went, the more perky our kids seemed to be. And when we left the locker room, honestly, you wouldn't believe we were down 14-0. But when you came in the locker room, you would have thought we were down 50-0. It's just, I've never been in something that changed so quick. And for an 0-2 team to be down 14-0 at the half, we really came out fighting in the third quarter, and that's a credit to the kids and the way they were raised, and I really appreciate both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coach, definitely congratulations on the win. I told you after a game you never wavered. Your team fought back. You never wavered in believing in your team. I want to talk about the offense a little bit. Santino Haney, I've been saying all year, one thing you can't question out of that kid is his toughness. And I know he's always had the athleticism, but he was really able to, come out of his shell, get the ball downfield and make some big plays. Talk about his play and how you felt about his play against Mooney.
Well, I really don't like to talk about individuals, but I will say that he stuck in the pocket well, but he was protected. Mm-hmm. And I thought we did a very good job of protecting for the passing game. But I thought he did a really good job on his reads, and he's been working on that. He's been working on that hard. And I just think that, our running game wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but it was good enough to make our play-action pass work.
Yeah.
And, the play-action pass is a big part of our game. But we were able to do the 4 concept for a lot of the fourth quarter because of the cover 3. So most of the play action passes we did was off the divide, 4 wides, and our tight ends did a really good job. We played a lot with 2 tight ends, and they were open on the seam, did a good job catching the ball. But the whole thing that helped us, that we did better in the third game than we did in the first 2 games. We got first downs. We out first down them 18-7. And their tailback had 150-some yards, but his last 7 carries, he had -1. Mm-hmm. So the defense was, we had certain keys that we went to in the second half, and they worked defensively. And I just felt that the defense picked us up at the turning point of the game. Was a caused fumble by Wiggins on the 40-yard line. After our first touchdown, the second play, kid broke it out, and Wiggins smacked the ball loose. And we do that drill every day, and or every week, and it was beautiful. We got the ball again, 14-7 in 4-down territory, and we were able to take advantage of that.
Coach, I really, in the pregame I'd mentioned, I really felt that the key for you guys Friday night was going to be the play of your offensive and defensive lines. As you mentioned, and as we saw in the second half, your offensive line did a much better job in run situations, did a great job, I thought, protecting Santino, but a lot of credit to your defensive front because the first half they hit some seams, as you said. Second half, those seams weren't there.
We were able to we sort of two platooned our lines in the second half. We went with four, our center, our right guard, our left tackle, and our right tackle. We're not playing defense, and we sat Bice on him and subbed him and freed him up, him and Kelly, a lot to play defense. And then we got Swift back and Turner, so we had four guys back just playing defense. That except for like I said, except for Effie Kelly. He played both ways, but we were able to rest him defensively, and that helped us out a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coach, talking about the defense, I do agree with you. The first half, I felt like, the defense did play good, despite, a couple of those big plays. But watching the game, there was two, us and Mooney, there was two real aggressive defenses. But I just seen us, we were really, really playing aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, getting after it. And I was real impressed with the physicality and how aggressive our defense was. Just talk a little bit about how our defense played.
It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game. We had more numbers available for us.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to play so many guys on both sides of the ball. And I think that sometimes a second guy that's fresh is better than a first guy given they can only give you 80 of it. Yeah. And that's what we were able to do. Like I said, we were able to go with only one lineman working on both sides of the ball, and that was Kelly. And the rest of them were, we had an offensive line and defensive line, and we were able to rest our tight ends with red and black formations with no tight ends.
Right.
And we were able to rest our fullback with no fullback, and that helped us defensively, and it helped us offensively. So we were a fresh football team, and we were able to go four quarters. And if you see the touchdown in overtime, it was a perfectly blocked power play, and every guy did their job, and that was minutes after the game, minutes after the regulation, and so the offensive line was fresh the whole game, and you can tell.
Not saying that I'm a prognosticator, but if you rewind the tape to last week, I think I said, how key is it going to be, your depth, against them having as many two-way players as what they had, and that did prove to be a difference.
And plus, we played guys that haven't played. Our right guard never played a snap of varsity ball and started the second half because we wanted to be, we wanted to be as much two platoon as we could. So our two corners never played offense. One safety played, but the other safety didn't. So it was we had fresh people out there, and you could tell. But and hopefully, we played 32 kids in that game, not counting the kickers, and hopefully we can keep that up and just stay healthy.
Right, Coach. This week your opponent will be Lindsley. You travel to West Liberty, correct? You're going to be playing the game at West Liberty, University. Lindsley enters the game at 1-2. They lost week 1 to a very good 4-0 Westinghouse team, 32-7. And this past week to St. Clairsville, who's currently 3-1, 24-14. Their lone victory came against Brook, currently 1-2, 42-0. I had a chance to see them in their win against Brook, and everything they do goes through quarterback Braden Wade.
Yes.
Slings it around.
But let me say this: their coaches and players don't back away from anybody. They play whoever they'll play, and that's a credit to their program. And that quarterback he's a good football player. I thought he was good as a sophomore also. And at the end of our game, his sophomore year, he came in and did a great job for him. And we were winning 20-0 at the half that game. And he came in, he did a really, really good job, especially on scrambles and throwing the ball off scrambles. But they do a good job protecting him. They don't do things that he can't do. They don't ask him to do things that the line can't protect. And I'm sure they want to run the ball more than they've been running it. So, we're going to have to just stay with our plan, stop the run and slow down the pass. And that'll be the same goal for us on Friday night. But football is stopping the run and running the ball, and I know I'm old-fashioned on that, but I think all that stuff is coming back around too, with the tight ends and double tight and running the ball, play action pass. That's even getting into the pros now, but that's our game plan, and we're going to stop the run and try to tackle that pass as well as we can.
Coach, going on the road this week at 2 road games in a row, but we're going to stick with this one. Going on the road and you're traveling a little bit, I know you're used to it. We don't play a lot of road games, but your preparation going to a road game, what are things you like to see out of your team, early in the game, when you're on the roads, maybe starting fast or whatnot?
Well, we try to make it as comfortable as much like home as we can, and but sometimes it's good to get on the road.
Yeah.
And but that's one thing I want to say about last week. If I can just go back for a second, you expect the players and coaches to be there ready to go, but our fans were ready.
They were.
We had a great crowd, and you would have thought we were 2-0 rather than 0-2. And I was so happy to. And I even said that to the kids after the game, that their fans never quit on them, so we can never, quit on them. And but we'll have a good group there of people Friday night. But we try to make it as much as we can the same as on the road. And the only thing different, we eat as a team.
Yeah.
We eat as a team, and just try to divide our buses up into guys that play mostly offense, guys that play defense, and then we have a reserve bus. So we just try to make it as comfortable as we can, or as much like home as we can. But it all goes to preparation, and nothing was any different in 3 games except we executed. And we ran the same plays, same defenses, but we executed. And that's a big difference. If we can just continue to execute and improve on our execution and trust in our footwork, no matter if it's offense, defense, what it is, trust your footwork, trust your fundamentals. And football is a game of fundamentals, and if you're fundamentally sound, you're going to win most of your games.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, as you mentioned, the fans were there this past week, and I'm sure Big Red Nation travels well, and they'll be in full force at West Liberty Friday night. So
we had a ton of ex-players there. They all stopped in the locker room after. We had a ton of them, and that just makes me feel so good just to see them old-timers come in, and how there was guys from the 80s and guys from last year, and it was just a great atmosphere.
I know there wasn't many seats open on our home side. When I turned around, it was filled.
Yeah. There were a lot of big people, though, taking up 2 seats.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially at the top of that A section.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, we want to wish you the best of luck as you take on the Lindsley Cadets
Ain't it nice
this
to
Friday?
laugh for once?
Yeah.
Jeez, I'm afraid to laugh every
Let's
time
keep it there.
Every time the saying that I have on my door in my office is, whenever you're sitting on top of the world or think you are sitting on top of the world, remember, it turns over every 24 hours.
Yeah.
So as soon as you laugh, somebody's ready to smack you in the face. But we laugh for a second now. Let's get our game back on.
All right. Well, again, good luck this week, Coach.
And Dan Vogel's son did play for us.
He did.
In 05.
14, baby. He had some big games.
Yeah. He put us up 15-0 with that fake extra point.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with head coach Andrew Connor, the Indian Creek Redskins.
Fort Steuben Maintenance should be your first choice when it comes to any and all construction projects, whether it's commercial or residential. Make Fort Steuben Maintenance your first call. You can rely on them to be the experts when it comes to roofing, concrete, plumbing, carpentry, just about any job that needs done. Fort Steuben Maintenance, they're fully licensed and bonded and will even give you a free estimate. Fort Steuben Maintenance. You want the number? 740-283-4890.
Ohio Valley Sports Online is your sports authority. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Live streaming high school and NCAA sports, plus weekly football coaches shows right here on Ohio Valley Sports Online.
Everhart Bow Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Pre-planning at Everhart Bow ensures that your family won't have to worry about the stress of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bow Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bow Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
All right, welcome back here to the Harp and Habit in Franciscan Square in Steubenville, Ohio. Wing night, Wednesday nights. We're now being joined by head coach Andrew Connor of the Indian Creek Redskins. Coach, coming off of a Week 4 win over Weir High, 46-22. You jumped out to a 34-0 halftime lead. Ian Starkey finished the night 10 of 18 passing for 122 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 39 yards and a score. Gavin Pinal, 2 rushing TDs and a receiving touchdown. Bruce Mazur ran for 75 yards and a touchdown while also catching 4 passes for 52 yards. So, again, another complete performance in all 3 phases of the game. Talk a little bit about that game against Weir High.
Well, I was proud of the kids. One of the things we asked the kids times in the first half, we scored all 5 times. Our defense, as usual, played stellar. I don't think Weirton had maybe a couple first downs in the first half. Our special teams did a very good job. That's where our young guys got to play. And we started substituting pretty freely towards the end of the second quarter. Our JVs got to play the entire third quarter, and our freshman team got in the fourth quarter. And, when you go in the locker room after a game and you win and you get all your kids into a football game and they all get to play, that's good for the program. And, it makes it an easy bus ride home. And I was just proud of the kids. Like I said, they knew what they had to do. And a lot of times, when you have expectations, the one thing you're always afraid of on all 3 phases of the game. And, the kids rooted for each other. The younger guys early in the game trying to get our varsity off. And then I was proud of our varsity kids. They were totally into the game watching our young guys battle. And, for me, that's what you want out of your football team.
Right.
Congratulations, Coach, on the win. I know you talked about last week, wanting to start fast. You accomplished that, got out of there with a win. It's filled up with multiple names. And, I think that's a credit to, your style of offense or whatnot. But tell me about the luxury of having multiple weapons on offense and all about that.
Well, I just think, the idea is that they cheer for each other. It's hard. You have one football. And, I think they all understand, number one, all of their success is built behind our offensive line. We wouldn't be doing the things we're doing if our offensive line doesn't play as well as it does every week. And so those 5 or 6 guys that we rotate in right off the bat, they do each other and they go in and out of the game. And, there's no animosity. One week, one may score 3 touchdowns. The following week, the other guy scores 3 touchdowns. So I think Gavin and Bruce do a good job of sharing that role. And, Ian understands how important it is for everybody to get involved. And, he doesn't go back and try to find a guy. He just lets the offense go. But, we have 5, 6, 7 receivers we're getting into the game. And, he does a good job of trying to spread that ball out as best he can. And, we even had, sophomore tailback for us, Dylan Rahman, and, Weir High's varsity football team. And so that was good for us. And, the kids were rooting for him and pulling for him. And, we had a fullback that, doesn't carry the ball very often. He's more of an ISO fullback, but, he breaks a trap. In the third quarter, and Bo's coming back over to the sideline, and man, the kids were jumping on him, and you can't coach that. That's either it is what it is. Good job catching the ball and some comebacks. We got Jaden involved, Christian with a couple of screens, and so we're trying to do the best we can to get as many guys involved. And, what we're hoping for is when you go to break this down on offense, you're saying to yourself, if I take away A, just probably kids for how hard they play. And, they, like I said, they pull for each other. And you could see, our tailback breaks went out in the open, all our wideouts are blocking. And a lot of times you watch teams and they figure if I didn't get the ball, I'm not doing anything. Well, that's not how, we're playing right now. And that benefits.
Important is it moving forward that you've been able to build depth in real game situations with those younger guys?
Yeah.
Well, we were just talking about that today after practice. The coaches we were talking about different things and meeting about how practice was going to this point. And, that's one of the things we talked about in our meeting today was, being able to know that now, we feel like when you talk about like your 1As, those guys that are right underneath, playing as starters, we feel like they have played an awful lot this year in meaningful times, still in games where, we were lucky enough to have control of the football game, but the other team still had their first team in. So this is before they subbed. We've subbed first, and we got those kids into the game. And we're looking at it from the standpoint of, eventually getting that grind now that are developing. And, you always hope to have that, luxury in a way to know that you have, instead of 2 linebackers, you got 4.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of having 4 DBs, you got 7.
Yeah.
And we think we're working towards that right now. And a lot of our younger guys, are starting to get in, and we're mixing them in with the varsity guys. And, we feel like, if they were pushed, if we got pushed come to shove and we had to put those guys in, there wouldn't be that huge drop-off. Sometimes you've got your one starting to gel. They can work themselves in. We've had good weeks of practice with them. Last week I think we did a really good job, and I was proud of my staff for getting guys in here. I kept telling them, get other guys in. Don't just keep the same guys. And I think they're ready now. I think they're starting to get ready because we're practicing more. They're playing more. And then the other thing is you're vested now. I mean, now you're not just on the sideline saying, hey, they'll put me in the final weeks as well.
Yep.
Okay, Coach, you guys got Brook Bruins this week at home. Last week when I talked to you, you were playing a Weir High team that you felt had improved each week coming up into your game. I think that seems to be the case too. With Brook, with coming off the 2 losses early to good teams, and then the win against Cambridge, a team that you're familiar with. How has Brook improved? And tell us a little bit about the Brook Bruins.
Well, I think for us, last year, in bold letters because we
remember
escaped
that game
over there last year.
Yeah.
Their quarterback Sparringer, it starts kind of with him.
Yeah.
Great athlete, does a great job, getting the ball out. Does a good job of being able to run the football. So for us, when we look at Brook, we saw them in their first game. I saw them in a scrimmage game. And then to see what they did against Cambridge last week, I think, they got more physical. You could kind of tell they're taking on the image of their head coach. Frank does a real good job with them. So that's one thing. I think Sparringer gives them that dual threat. I mean, if you have a quarterback who's an athlete, he's an athlete, he can run the ball or throw the ball, that puts pressure on your defense. So that's one of the things you could see has gotten better. And then defensively, I think they're starting to learn their new defense. And, one of the things they do really well is they mix up their fronts. One time they're in a 5-man front, one time they're in a 3-man front, and they do a lot of exotic blitzes where they have guys coming off the edges. Yeah. They got guys coming up the middle. They twist guys. They fall out. And they're going to put a lot of pressure on offensive line to pick that up. And again, they're playing to try to get you behind the chains. They did that against Cambridge. A lot of times they came with a blitz that Cambridge has that on their play sheet.
Right.
Hey, let me run a 3rd and 20 or 3rd and 25.
Right.
So Brook is a rivalry game. That's the other thing. We played some great games in the last 5 or 6 years back and forth. So I'd expect nothing less than Brook's best. And I told our kids practicing hard, and I think the kids realize, and I think they're starting to understand you have to respect your opponent. Records really don't matter because sometimes they're a little off on who you play and who you didn't play and, who's getting better and who isn't getting better. So I think our kids realize how good Brook can be, how good they've been getting, and I think our kids won't underestimate them Friday night.
Right. As Matt mentioned there, I mean, Beaver Local's no slouch. Lindsley's a much improved team from what they were a year ago. Their record's deceiving because of who they've played and so on. And again, I got a chance to see Brook against Lindsley. And I tell you right now, when you look at the eye test, coach height.
No.
You can't coach height. Taking on a guy looking defensively, okay, you're taking on a receiver like that. seeing them on film, what they like to do, kind of some jump ball type situations or back shoulder fades they throw to those guys and what have you. How important is it technique with your defensive backs when you're playing somebody with that?
The right position. You know, a lot of times DBs just get beat because they're not in the right position. They're a little flat-footed. They're not, not paying attention to, what they're supposed to be reading. So we've been working all week, and, we showed them, on Wednesday we watched some film before we go out. We watched the film of the Cambridge game, and I told them on balls that were 50-50 balls, they get them.
Yeah.
They're big, and they get those 50-50. So you have a really athletic quarterback who could put the ball up in the air, and you got big kids. So it's going to be very important for us to be fundamentally sound, make sure that we're taking the right steps, we're in the right position, and we got to challenge the football. And again, you talk to your DBs all the time about high point in football. Mm-hmm. If we don't high point this week, we're in trouble because they're big. They don't have length. Our DBs are not the tallest kids, so they've got to do everything correct to give them the opportunity to do so. And, we told our defensive line, you could help our DBs by putting a little bit of pressure on him
right.
and making him throw some big ball so that maybe he doesn't throw the perfect 50-50 ball. That could also help our DBs.
Right. Coach, we're looking forward to it because we'll be doing this game Friday night.
Yeah.
Myself and Matt and Dan will be
Can't
out
wait.
there at Kettlewell Stadium. It'll be my first opportunity to see you guys live, and I'm really excited for
Me
that.
too.
From a personal standpoint, I've had and saw these kids grow. Your kids that are seniors, I had as freshmen in school, and to see the improvement they've made.
Like I said, the biggest thing for us right now is, we're focused in on what our agenda is, and that is to go 1-0 every week. And
yes.
The big thing we told the kids, I know it's homecoming. But homecoming is for the girls. They get to wear gowns. Like in my case, my daughter's gown was on sale, so I saved some money.
That's
week.
what you were told.
Hey, I believe both of them. And is to win the game for the community.
Yeah.
So you've got to be focused. Homecoming's ruined if we can't go down in front of the band.
There's going to be a crowd.
Yeah, and the crowd's coming. Brook and Indian Creek always brings a crowd. That goes all the way back to the the Wintersville Brook days. So we told our kids, let's make our part. They can pick the flower. They can have the parades. Our part is to play 48 minutes of football. And, man, our kids team right now, they're excited to get back out on the field. They seem to understand where we're at and how important this is to us. And, for us, it's for us to get better. I know every coach wants to just win a game. And at the end, you'd be crazy not to be happy if you just won. But have, like you said, a great senior class. And, they've gone through the lows. Mm-hmm. We had some bad years when they were younger. Mm-hmm. And they've kind of grown into this. The last 3 years, you were 2-8, and we went 8-2, now where we're at right now. And I think those kids understand what it was like to be where they were at.
Right.
And, they really, really, are happy about how far they've gone, and they want to take this further. So, we're excited about the opportunity on Friday, and, we're going to do our best to live up to our end of the deal for the district.
Absolutely. Well, again, best of luck Friday night as you take on the Brook Bruins.
Good luck.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I'll see you guys out there, man.
Yes, sir.
It'll be a hot one.
Everhart Bove Funeral Home, they believe you should take care of your loved ones while you still can. Of final arrangements during this most difficult time. More importantly, they won't have to worry about how they'll pay for it. Visit Everhart Bove Funeral Home today and discover all the affordable options available. Everhart Bove Funeral Home, Wintersville, Richmond, and Burgolds.
Welcome back here to the Harp and Habit in Franciscan Square in Steubenville, Ohio. Wing night. It's also Coach's Show night. We're being joined by head coach Quincy Wilson from the Weir High Red Riders. He's being sponsored by Hancock County Schools. West Virginia is entering week 4. Coach, let's talk quickly about your week 3 contest.
Yes.
Elijah McShann, 61-yard touchdown reception. Thomas Davidson had 60-yard rushing TD, and Logan Lemmy had a rushing TD. not quite the halfway point for you guys yet. And we've talked before about the process.
Right.
Where do you feel you're at?
Well, I think we're getting better each week. As crazy as that sounds, I think let's start with our team. We have the team, the locker room, the brotherhood is there. I always tell the guys, when you're losing, it's so easy, to fray, and it's so easy to this. And I keep telling them about my sophomore year. We were 1-9, and we were supposed to be really good. But by week 4, week 5, some guys are not playing hard as others, playing bad. So I'm always kick up every day, like just excited to coach the guys.
That's great.
Because we're in that. We're getting backed into a corner where I think they're finally understanding, like, hey, it's us versus them. Us versus them. It's us versus social media. It's us versus, girlfriends, boyfriends, uncles, whatever it is.
Yep.
And them realizing that the only thing that matters is the people in these seats and the people in this room.
Yeah.
Now that we have their attention with that, now practice habits, back to the daily habits. And it's on us as coaches to hold them accountable for that. And it's on us to make sure we don't skip any steps. And, special teams, we've got better. Big plays, they put up a lot of yardage, but they had to drive on us. There was 8 plays, 9 plays, 10 plays, So we're making those adjustments. We're making those things. So, like I said, as crazy as it sounds, you're like, oh, my goodness, you guys are down 40-0. Well, yeah. But, we were in the game because these young guys that are here next year, we're going to remember this. The sophomores that are there are going to remember this, and they're saying we're building a foundation so we can say, well, hey, remember last year when we did this in a scrimmage game? Remember that first game, how we didn't practice as hard, whatever it is. These same guys will be back and will be able to go back in their memory banks and hopefully, like I always say, you don't have to be a senior, but just leadership. I just keep saying leadership. Leadership comes in all forms. It's in the classroom, it's on the field, and it's when they leave the building as well.
Right.
Coach, a couple things. So first off, we talk about trust in the process or
Yes,
whatnot, but even Coach Connor. I just wanted to tell you this. Coach Connor, talked about his team this year. And they have a good team. And these kids that are older now, that are veterans, that are seniors, that are enjoying their success, took lumps as younger players.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So that it's like that all makes it that much better, when you see the development of the players and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you this. I was thinking about you today. I'm serious when I was working down the bakery. And I don't know why this popped in my head, but I was thinking, he just got to trust the process. But I was thinking this, when things, like you said, the outside noise is the outside noise, but are you quick? Do you think, like in a situation like this, having a few losses in a row or whatnot, are you quick to change things, or are you quick to keep doing what you're doing?
Well, I don't think you change. I think you dive into your staff and you say, well, hey, what can we do better?
Yeah.
So it's not that we're changing.
That's what I want to hear.
We're saying, what can we practice better?
Yeah.
Can we warm up better? Do we have to move our live period to the first period instead of the end of practice? So you trust what you're doing because, again, these kids aren't silly. So we come in on Monday and say, hey, well, you know what? We're going helmets the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And they're going to look, well, what's going on? We're jumping ship. So I think you trust what you're doing because that's why we, as coaches, that's why we write stuff down and tear stuff down. Like I said, I call Coach Reno. What do you guys do? What do you guys, I'm always calling all these coaches because we have so many great coaches in this valley. Coach Connor's one of them. And you say, but what do you do with your guys? Where do you go with your guys? And then you take a piece and you do it. So I think, like you say, I don't think you change. I just think you're always trying to figure out how you can get better. Even if we're 3-0.
Yeah.
I'm saying, hey, okay, well, do we need to take the kids to the pool now? How can we keep on getting better? How can we limit injuries? How can we, and I think there's certain benchmarks that you kind of try to hit, and you go from there. So I think, obviously, in football, you're never going to bang all year. So I think, by the end of next week, we're probably saying, hey, maybe we're not going full gear Monday and Tuesdays. Now we're saying we're going to go live once week because, again, we only have 40-plus players. But I just think we think smarter and think of your guys, but the input from your coaches, the input from your ask your kids, hey, how do you feel today? Try to make it not an obvious thing, but hey, man, how did you feel Saturday after the game? How do you feel Sunday? When we're doing our Zoom stuff. Just making sure you get their input because then you can use that on the back end saying, well, hey, some of you guys, you know, I know you guys want to do this, and let's do it. You know, and now it gives that locker room that power. Hey, our coaches have our back.
Yeah.
And but besides that, say you're just constantly how you get better.
Good.
Not that, coaches don't have enough jobs and enough hats to wear and so on and so forth, but, how difficult is it, when you're going through a little bit of a rough start to the season, the way things are today, like you mentioned with social media, this, that, and what have you, to block out the noise, for your kids to block out that noise,
well, that's easy for me.
take the poison that's out there, you know.
Right.
The
Well, I
rat
think
poison.
with us, it's a daily reminder. So I can't stand up in our team meeting Monday and say, well, guys, don't pay attention to social media, or guys, it's homecoming week, don't let the distractions get you.
Yeah.
Every single day I have to have a clear message on what the day is and kind of give them a preview of what's going on the next day. So in their minds, because, again, that's how they think. They don't think – none of our guys are thinking about next year. Like, when I was a junior, I couldn't wait to be a senior.
Yeah.
When I was a sophomore, I couldn't wait to play a junior. I was always thinking about how I'm going to get better
too.
next year. These guys think in weeks and sometimes in months.
Yeah.
So now they're thinking, well, hey, by Kaiser game, maybe I'm playing. You know what I'm saying? So you got to keep the main thing for the young views. As an adult, I know as a teacher, as a I'm gonna hear it.
Yeah.
I'm a local guy. I'm connected to a lot of people. So if someone says something, it's gonna get back to you, and that's great because at least that tells me, well, they're paying attention to what we're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right.
it's a double-edged sword. So, okay, well, yeah, maybe we're not playing as well, or maybe we could start better, which that's probably the one thing we haven't. All three teams we played have jumped out on us. So how do we figure that? I'm watching the film, the first play of the game. We miss an assignment that could have been a touchdown. The next play, if we just go outside, it's a touchdown. So it's there. So you show our guys the good. You're always going to harp because they know. They beat themselves anyways. That's another thing I've learned about these guys. They watch the film. They're on their film. They're on their Twitter. They're on their they're watching. So me coming in and talking about, well, Quincy, why didn't you block number 7? I know I didn't block number 7. So I'm not going to double tap them. They know that. So now they're beating themselves up. So let me come in with the good. You know what, guys? We did not give up one play on special teams this week. First 2 games we have. We made them drive. We didn't give up a 90. We didn't give up an 80. So positive reinforcement, but then we go right back into the fundamentals and that kind of stuff. So I think to answer your question, it's immediate. We have to. I'm real big on printing out stuff. I try to hand. I was in sales, so I try to hand them something every day. Something on there, or whether it's the opponent's schedule for the week or just things I see online or nothing. So just constantly giving them something to look at, and maybe they may look at it and never think about it again. But maybe when they go to their locker, it rings a bell with them.
Right.
Well, Coach, I will say, firsthand, and I say this with a grain of salt. There's no place like home sometimes, and I can relate to that.
Right.
But bye week, right? You got a bye week this week. We'll get into Harrison next week. But just your bye week. I know you guys are really, just looking to improve and get better every day, especially fundamentally, being early in the season and early in your career. What are you looking forward to for this bye week?
It's camp for us. We've taken a camp mentality. We've gone fundamentals, a lot more individual drills, a lot more back to the basics with stuff. And also we're giving our young guys more reps. So I'm always taking, like in college, our bye week was, hey, give a chance for young guys to get in there, kind of rest your veterans. We have a lot of young guys, so a lot of these young guys are getting reps this week. And I'm telling our young guys, like, hey, our old guys, hey, be patient. I know this week, and then, hey, when we hit Saturday, we're back in the hair, we're back into our mode. But get behind these guys, because again, I tell the story all the time. I did not know how much my team cared until my freshman year. I scored a touchdown, and they were more excited than I was. I was like, oh my goodness, you guys even know my name? Right. You know what I mean? So pour into these guys, especially our Daniel, our seniors. Like, hey, you know how much it would mean to one of our young guys if you said, you know what, you kicking butt, man. Keep doing it. Keep working. And again, not in public and all that stuff, but when you're sitting in the locker room, that stuff, and this goes so further. Because, again, when you got 13 people, 15 people. You know, our first 3 opponents are 10-0.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
You know, you're 10-0. So,
100%.
you know, we play some good teams, and there's no excuse for that because, you know, you are what your record says you are. But think of how we have improved from camp, from week 1, week 2, week 3. Now we're in our bye week. We're a little banged up, which is fine. It's football. You know, when you're only playing 29, 30 guys anyways, that's going to happen.
Coach know about that.
Yeah. So, but again, I think their attitudes. You know, you always want to take how's the locker room? Locker room's in place. You know, how's the system? Like you said.
Yeah.
Should we not spread? Are we doing that?
Yeah.
The system works.
Yeah.
Now,
don't panic.
like you said, we go to the pit. We get into the fundamentals. We dive into it because again, I always look at it like these kids have never played football.
Right.
You know, so I'm always saying, hey, a 3-point stance, and I'm still think I can play. So I'm in there and I'm demonstrating, hey, hands inside, elbows in. You know, and constantly trying to get them, to work on their daily habits.
Right. Well, as we said, it's bye week for you. Next week we'll be getting into the nuts and bolts, so to speak, of Harrison Central.
Into it, man. It's like a little mini vacation, man. It's like, I gotta prepare.
Enjoy it.
But you can't. I'm like, hey, what we've watched. Fortunate enough with the internet now, everyone's games are online, and
right.
Yeah.
even if you don't get the huddle, everyone does such a great job of presenting their product out there, and they do a great job out there in Harrison. And Coach Hayes, they do a great job. So great facility. I haven't been out there since all the updates, so I'm excited to get out there on the gray turf and.
It's top notch.
I've heard. So, but our kids are excited. I'm excited. But while I'm here, I just wanted to thank, our administrative, our kids, our student body. I just want to thank them for hanging in there with us. We're going to get it going. We're going to get it going. But stay behind us, and we're going to make you guys proud. I promise you that.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate it, Coach. We'll see
you
you next week.
As always.
That was head coach Quincy Wilson of the Weir High Red Riders. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with the second half of our show.
Welcome to the Harp and Habit, Steubenville's hidden gem. Here, Irish charm dances with local warmth. Picture shepherd's pie, fish and chips, and soda bread, all crafted with care. Whether it's family, friends, or romance, every meal becomes a celebration. Join us. Where good food meets great memories, you belong here.
Discover the thrill of local sports with Ohio Valley Sports Online, your go-to YouTube channel for all things sports in the Ohio Valley region. Dive into live games, exclusive interviews, and expert commentary that keeps you at the heart of the action. By subscribing to OVSO, you ensure you never miss a moment. Hit the like button and subscribe today to receive instant notifications whenever we go live. Join the community and cheer on your favorite teams.
The Bruin symbolizes strength, adaptability, and resilience. From the moment a child enters Brooke County Schools, they are forever known as a Bruin. They have pride in themselves and the schools they attend. A Bruin can navigate challenging situations and will always work to embrace change. A Bruin ensures all students understand what it means to all start something special and have a sense of belonging where they can study, compete, and succeed. Want to learn more about what it means to be a Bruin? Visit BruinPride.net. Brooke County Schools, the place to be.
Shut that, Matthew.
At Presley Hearing Center, your journey to better hearing begins with us. Our certified experts are dedicated to understanding your unique needs, ensuring a superior experience every step of the way. Discover the latest in hearing technology with Starkey's newest wireless hearing aids. Don't miss out on life's precious sounds. Call today to schedule your personalized hearing consultation. Presley Hearing Center, where hearing care is healthcare.
All right, welcome into Ohio Valley Sports Online. We're here in our sponsor segment, sponsored by Chris McCarthy's Irish Pub here at the Harp and the Habit on Franciscan University Boulevard. And we have our number one sponsor in here, Dr. Megan Presley from Presley Hearing Center. Megan, thanks for your support, number one, and thanks for coming in, number two.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Megan, I want to talk about number one. You changed venues. You got a new location that we want our 10,000 followers to know about. So why don't you give us your new location, the best way to get a hold of you, and some of the things you're offering down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity to come on, because I, too, want your 10,000 listeners to know the change that we've had, because it's been a big one since I've been on last. So I have since opened office space. Previously, I was completely mobile. It was called Tri-State Mobile Audiology, where I would provide mobile hearing services for folks in the Ohio Valley, which worked out well, but when I had the opportunity to open office space, I had to take it. So this year, I opened an office. We are at 630 Market Street in downtown Steubenville. We are in the same building as the Jefferson County Chamber, which is very nice to have them as neighbors. The name has also changed to Presley Hearing Center. So that's the new name to look up and find us on everything: Facebook, online, Google, Presley Hearing Center. And we offer the same stuff. I still will do mobile services for those who need or want it. Just have to request it. Otherwise, you can come see us downtown. We provide hearing evaluations from pediatrics to adults, wax removal, hearing aids, custom hearing protection if you need it. What else do we do? I think that's it. Hearing aids, hearing aid fittings. We have a new home downtown.
I appreciate that. What's some of the things in today's world, Megan, that affect our hearing that you have to deal with? Some of the things in everyday life.
Noisy, busy world. So especially if you've worked around a lot of noise, that can cause problems. But even, AirPods and music, we have a lot more things right at the ear level nowadays. So just being mindful of A, how loud it is, whatever you're listening to, and then B, the duration, how long you're listening to it. I also think the biggest thing that patients should, or people should understand, is that it's actually our brain that's hearing, not our ears. So a lot of times hearing kind of gets put on the back burner, like, oh, it's no big deal. But it is. It's our brain that's hearing. So we want to keep your brain active. So, you get your eyes checked, you get your teeth checked every year. You want to have your ears checked too. So that's important as well.
I appreciate that. As far as your mobile audiology, you would provide a way to get a hold of you.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of us is to call the office. The number is 740-278-3472. We are also on Facebook, Presley Hearing Center, and you can also visit our website at presleyhearingcenter.com.
How do you like your new home down there in the chamber?
I think it's fantastic. I was born and raised in Steubenville, so to be able to have my own business in the town that shaped me into who I am is a big deal. And I think downtown is it's improving. It's getting better and better. More businesses are coming, so it's nice to be able to have another service in the downtown area, and having the chamber as neighbors is just, a plus.
Well, I think I agree with you. I mean, I think that the city, the chamber, everybody is doing the best that they can to accept the challenges of downtown, and having businesses such as yourself are going to do nothing else that helps. But what else attracts you about being and working in Steubenville?
Oh, gosh. I think it's just...
Other than getting free help from your mother or secretary.
Yeah, right. That is true. Yeah, my mom is my secretary, so that's super helpful. Shout out to Kathy. Yes, that is great. And I think just being able to provide that, hometown feel, right? We're getting so retail and big box, and that's not really what I wanted my practice to be about. So to be able to provide this service as an audiologist, to my hometown, 4 minutes away from my house, was just kind of a no-brainer. And there are good things happening in this area. So to live and work here and provide that service for my hometown is just a really big deal.
How long you been in business, Megan?
I've been an audiologist for about 8 years now, and I've technically had my been on my own for a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, so not long.
It's going well.
Yeah, it's going great. Slowly but surely, word is spreading. That's the other great thing about this, our hometown area. I think word of mouth is huge, and being able to do things like this is super helpful too. So slowly but surely, word is spreading, and we're helping each patient in front of us, and that's all we can do.
Well, word of mouth really spreads about your activities and working golf matches, and golf outings as well. I mean, you are a hit. You and your partner Annie Campbell.
Yes.
I mean, you are really, really spreading the word there. I'm sure is that an opportunity for you when you do those type events?
Sure.
I mean, I know you do them for fun, but were you able at the golf outing to be able to talk to anybody about Presley Hearing Center?
Oh yeah.
Where everybody was doing their own thing.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. I think that's any time that events or fundraising things like that happen in a small town like Steubenville, it is such a great way to build your business and network. Networking's huge. So however you can do that, and if you can have fun while you're doing it, that's just a plus. So being able to give back to the community, do fundraisers, things like that, all the while building your business is just it's. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Well, you did a great job, networking and raising money for our cause, which I appreciated. But the chamber also has some events that allows you to network as well.
Yeah. So the chamber, oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, they have a lot of events that go on. They have like a business before breakfast group, I think. They have coffee and connections where you can stand up and talk about your business. There's just so many ways to get the word out about your business in our area. And then there's also the young professional group, Jefferson County Young Professionals, where like-minded folks can get together and network that way. So there's just so many ways to amplify your business and get the word out there.
And you take advantage of all of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We should.
Okay, Danny, let's go to a break, and we'll come right back and finish up this, okay? Let's take a quick break this is Ohio Valley Sports Online with Dr. Megan Presley from Presley Hearing Center. We'll be right back.
Hearing begins with us. Our certified experts are dedicated to understanding your unique needs, ensuring a superior experience every step of the way. Discover the latest in hearing technology with Starkey's newest wireless hearing aids. Don't miss out on life's precious sounds. Call today to schedule your personalized hearing consultation. Presley Hearing Center, where hearing care is healthcare.
Okay, we're going to close out our sponsor segment with Dr. Megan Presley. You're at the best way to get a hold of you.
Absolutely, yeah. Presley Hearing Center. We are downtown Steubenville. It's 630 Market Street. If you're familiar with the Towers building, what everybody calls in the same office or building as the Jefferson County Chamber. So 630 Market Street. You can visit our website, PresleyHearingCenter.com, or find us on Facebook. Same thing, Presley Hearing Center. And our number is 740-278-3472.
As always, the best. Megan Presley, 2006 Big Red Cheerleader. 2007.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was dating
Don't
you
age
then.
me. Don't
there
age
you
me.
go. Big Red Cheerleader, graduate Steubenville High School, doing business in Steubenville, Ohio. Stop and see her for all your hearing needs. This is Ohio Valley Sports Online. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.
You're
Thanks
the
so
best.
much.
We'll be right back.
Thank you, National Colloid, for sponsoring this broadcast. A National Colloid company with over 75 years in the chemical industry can take care of all your chemical blending needs.
Phil Rujat. Okay, welcome into Ohio Valley Sports Online here from the Harper and the Habit McCarthy's Irish Pub as we move forward with our Catholic Central segment sponsored by the National Coal Oil Company with Coach Eric Meek. Coach, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it, Coach. First time I got a chance to talk to you. Got a chance to watch you play a few times, especially Saturday against Bridgeport. And my comments are going to follow your comments, Coach. Tell us about Bridgeport.
Well, we were a little concerned as a staff simply because the quarterback, number one, has been there for a long time, and he was a very dangerous runner. The tailback was good, and they were big up front, and 14 of their 28 kids on their rosters were seniors. So that's 17, 18-year-old kids playing against some 14, 15, 16-year-olds. But our kids came out, and we moved the ball. We had two big, huge drives. We had a 6.5-minute drive and a 10-minute drive. And when you can do that and put points on the board, that's good. And then our defense in the second half really turned it up a notch. And our special teams improved from the week before. And, once I think we scored and it was 15-13. We scored 21-13, 10-minute drive, kicked the extra point. Now we're up by 9, and I think that's when the tide really turned, because now it's a 2-score game. But it was a hard-fought win, homecoming, which was awesome. It was an awesome weekend.
Nice crowd.
Yep. It started Thursday with the Hall of Fame and activities all through the week. And we're 3-1. We're a young football team that's 3-1 that's played hard all 4 games, and that's all you can ask as a coach. I feel like we're getting better.
Well, Coach, one thing that I've noticed and I always comment on is, we've been watching you now for 3 years. How long you been
4.
in Central? 4 years. And your style to me is you develop your linemen, and you want your linemen to get off the ball, and you, to me, seem like a throwback to when I coached. Just we're coming at you, and you got some guys that, you run tackle to tackle, as I see it most of the time, and you got some elusive backs that have been able to pick up yards for you. But, I cannot say enough, and I don't know if you want to single people out, but I just can't say enough offensively about Sprockeye and what he does. The kid slips tackles like nobody I have ever seen, and he gets in behind your lineman, and he finds holes, and he hits them hard.
Yeah, 174 yards last week, or 171 of the 2. I can't remember. But, he's a tough kid. He's a great kid from a character standpoint, and he's a smart kid. And, he'll tell me what he thinks, which is good, in a positive way, not in a negative way at all. And, I trust him. If he says to me, Coach, here's what I think's there, sometimes I'll veto him. But, we got good kids at Central, and we got a lot of smart kids, and he's one of them.
Well, that's a coach on the field. But, Coach, his speed is literally shocking. He hits the hole, and he tries to get to the sideline, and he'll outrun anybody.
Yeah, and people think I'm crazy. I put him back on kickoffs and punts, but we're Division 7. And that could be, and it has in the past. He is, a year ago I did the same thing. I had Tommy Purgie back there on punts, and he won us some games. And this year and last year, Matthew has done some great things on the kickoff and the punt returns as well. So, he never comes off the field.
Well, it appears to me, personnel-wise, you got a nice mix. You're figuring in, you got some freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are coming into play for you. But your offensive line has been impressive, and a lot of credit goes there.
Well, thank you. We have some kids back, but we've also had some kids that have stepped in. Alex Fedorov was a JV player. He's a big kid, and he's had a good senior season. Who was a receiver tight end, and then I called him in. I said, James, we don't have a lot of linemen, and he's a team first kid. He only started playing football last year. He played volleyball out in Columbus at Columbus St. Charles before he moved to Steubenville, and he's done a good job. And then you got Nick Mascio at center, Braylon Wilson the move in at guard, and Johnny Kostecki who's back, and Hunter Kirkpatrick's played a little. And then at tight end we have Matty Jones who's a sophomore, Seth White a freshman, and sometimes J.P. Gessler who's a senior. But it's just the line, the way we practice our offense, and I know that some of the older coaches do this. I think Reno still does it. Is we go good on good tomorrow. We'll go half line, where we put a left guard, a center, right guard, tackle, tight end, a backfield against the best people we can. We get a water break. We go left side. Then we mix it up with the pass game and the outside run game. And we started that 2 years ago. And I just feel like if you can move the ball on the ground and get physical, it'll make you a more physical team in general.
Can you go help the Steelers? I think they need some help with that.
I don't
that
even know
line.
Because like we've said before, I don't even know what the Steelers' record is because Sunday after church we're in there meeting all day.
Well,
so it's a 7-day-a-week grind.
You and I have talked, and I've known you for many, many years, and you've always been one who is run first, and control the game, and you've done it very well wherever you've been. That's been a staple of yours, and you've done it very well. Passing-wise, I mean, you'll throw the ball, but Matthew Sprocki is very, very, very efficient. 5 completions last night, not a lot of yards, 41 yards, but he hit 5 different receivers with his 5 completions. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
And the no intercept, complete 60% of your passes and don't have turnovers. I've been saying that since 1993,
and you didn't,
right.
and the penalties were down, everything, so
right.
You've kept that down, and when you don't put yourself in harm's way with turnovers and penalties, and you keep yourself in front of the sticks instead of behind the sticks, that's a good formula.
Yes.
Well, I know
Thank you.
you've overcome the turnover issue that you started out the year with. You're not putting the ball on the ground, and you're playing better defense.
Yes, and we had that issue in the scrimmages as well. But yeah, the first game we've improved, and you said the turnovers are huge. I mean, the turnover margin the last 2 weeks has been heavily in our favor, and that's something you have to do. You can't get penalties. You got to move the ball. You got to stop. Your defense can bend but don't break, and you got to play special teams and be disciplined.
Another thing, Coach, Santi Descalzo has come on and emerged as your kicker, and he's done a great job for you. And people don't understand how important that one. Can you talk about how that's evolved?
Yeah, Sonny came out this year for the first time on the soccer team. I just met him in late July. When he called me one night, and one of the kids gave him my number, and I said, yeah, come over. And, he's done a good job. Last week was 2 for 2? I believe 2 for 2.
2 for 2, yeah.
That was very important. And then the week before he had several kicks. So that was his first time in there. So, yes.
Coach, you're sitting at 3-1. You're approaching week 5. You get a big one, Wheeling Central.
Yeah, Mike Young and I have been friends for 30 years. He's a class act. Anyone that knows Mike, he's just a great, great human being.
Good man.
Good for high school football. Their program is as good as it's going to get. And, last year we played hard, but they were much better than us. And they got a lot of kids back. And, we're going to – all I ask our kids to do is to play hard and represent the school. Play as hard as you can for 48 minutes. And we'll see what happens. I would say that I got some tough football teams on our schedule coming up here, and they may be the best of all of them.
Eric, you don't face – he runs that spin series, and they run it to perfection. I've never seen anybody run it better than them. Of course, you don't see it very often. How do you go about preparing for that? Because you don't see that. I mean, the other 9 games you have, you're probably not going to see anybody run anything.
Yeah. They've done a little bit of a difference. They do some different things this year, but it's something that it's just like when we ran that I call it the hammer offense. people don't see that where everyone's in the, inside. I say it's like running plays inside a telephone booth. But when I tell the kids, I don't even know what a telephone booth is. We're getting old like last week.
Where does their Superman change?
Yeah. So, but it's the same thing. Whenever you go against an offense that is a little different than what you see today, the spread, and it is hard. And I think sometimes when we've done that type of offense that we did a year ago and the year before, I think that was an advantage because some teams are like, well, we're not used to seeing this. So, it is an issue.
Well, what's the biggest thing that you can expect from Wheeling Central, Coach?
Well, they're good on defense, and, they are consistent offensively. They're just a consistent football program. They have won for years, and, they just, it's passed away. Mike took the program over. I think it might have been the year I was at Weir High when we coached against each other. But Mike and I have been friends a long, long time, and they're well coached and they do things the right way.
Yeah, long, long history. I mean, goes way back. Steubenville Central, Wheeling Central. Goes way back. Good to see him on the schedule, though.
And you guys are very similar. You have a really, really good, solid, experienced coaching staff. He's got guys that have been with him, and they're all really good, solid coaches as well. And it shows in your programs.
And if I can, just real quick, to my staff, it's a great staff. Ted Kostecki's our defensive coordinator. He's a guy. He bleeds blue and gold. He does a tremendous job. Seth White has been with me now 4 years. He's as good as a defensive back receiver coach I've seen at any level, even, when I coach at the college level. He's fantastic. Doug Taylor's come over as my offensive coordinator. Of course, Doug and I were at Weir High together. Then he went on to win a state title as head coach at Madonna and most recently head coach at Oak Glen. Ray Purnell came over with Doug. Ray's an old friend that was on my Weir High staff years ago. And Mike Conrad is on our staff also, who is our dean of students and a coach at Indian Creek. And then my dad, of course, helps us, and Dr. Todd Phillipson, who's now our principal, has kind of stepped back in a lesser role, but he still contributes as much as he possibly can. So very fortunate, not only solid coaches, but solid people. And in today's society, you got to have people you can trust that are good human beings, because all it takes is one bad apple on your staff and they can blow the entire thing up.
Amen to that, Coach. That's words of wisdom. Coach Eric Meek, Steubenville Catholic Central Crusaders, 3-1 here at the High Valley Sports Online Coaches Show. They got Wheeling Central Saturday night. Wish you the best of luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Good to talk to you.
Coach, good luck.
We'll be there. That's right. That's our game of the week on Saturday, High Valley Sports Online. Thanks for Danny Vogel reminding me, as he always does. So until that time, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you, National Colloid, for sponsoring this broadcast. A National Colloid company with over 75 years in the chemical industry can take care of all your chemical blending needs.
You're chasing Bud Billiard now. Live streaming. All right, we're back here at the Harp and the Habit, McCarthy's Irish Pub on Franciscan University Boulevard here in Franciscan Square. With us in our Brooke County Schools segment, Coach Frank Cini. Congratulations on your first win, Coach.
Thank you.
Beat Cambridge. Let's talk about that. Give us a rundown on that game.
Well, it was the first time we were going to travel for the year, and for us to go out to Cambridge and get a big win, it was a big win, not just for the kids, but the program and all the coaches and the hard work and everything we've put into this. So there's been some issues, growing pains early on that we had to clean up, and we slowly saw those things come to fruition when it comes to the things we were working on in that Cambridge game, where we saw the kids respond. They went up 7-0, and then we responded. We went ahead and had a tough time in the second quarter, but then went in at halftime and had an adjustment period. We had to get things right, and we had a 10-point swing that happened coming out. We had a really strong return to start the second half with Michael Gibson. Our special teams have been playing great all year, and it really gave us a spark where we're tackling better, and it was just that momentum was happening. And we've all been part of those games where you see it slowly happen, and that's really what happened there in the second half of that game, where we come out and got some strong play again from our kicker, Rocco Sacrapenny, who hit a 30-some-yard field goal that gave us that 10-point swing at the time. And, we had a big fourth down stop on Cambridge, which we had a little mentality there. We challenged the boys, let's go ahead and punch this in. And, Marcus Reed ended up scoring on that drive, but we had a big catch to get us on the 4th and 11. I believe Ethan Fisher had a big catch from Ty Sparringer with a perfect throw. So we saw it throughout the night. It all starts up front, but Ty had a great game. He hit Crosby Morris during the evening, and we saw some strong running from Connor Cart, and we were very pleased with the way it turned out.
Well, you get the win, and we got to me and Tony got to do the Lindsley game. And one thing we talked about on the air that I want to ask you is you're in a process right now of just trying to build something, your vision of what you want Brook football to look like and how to get there. How do you maintain with your kids and your coaching staff whenever these struggles are happening just to, hey, let's hold steady and keep moving forward?
Well, I rely on my coaches because of the experience they have and, the message. And the message has been the same since day one. So it's a delicate balance trying to keep those kids from getting too emotional because there's so much invested in this thing, considering the kids have been really working at it since last year's off season began in January and the way it progressed into the summer. And, we ran into some really tough teams there in the beginning, and, playing, another Buckeye 8 school with Cambridge was tough to travel on the road and do that. But the message just to coach up the little things, it's still blocking, tackling. And and the way things had been established when we were younger, and there's a lot of guys that have played that are on the coaching staff that understand what we need to be at and what we need to do. So those are things that we say all the time. So it's there every day.
Frank, you guys ran more plays than they did. You gained more yards than they did. You had more first downs than they did. See a pattern with you guys. The difference in this game, you've moved the ball in the past. The difference in this game was you finished. Your kids could have gone the other way, 0-2. You start losing. They didn't. What do you attribute that success to? That now you're starting to finish. It's a progression here.
Because we kept harping on that and showing them that the successes are there. Just keep grinding, keep playing, and, great things will happen. And we ran into a very tough team week 2, a very good Lindsley team that throws the ball well. But
you moved the ball.
Tough to defend. Yes. They were tough to defend throwing the ball over.
Yeah. B.J. Depew does a great job, and that was a tough one. And sometimes you have to take a couple steps back. I know it's hard to say, but sometimes you got to learn a little bit. Those hard little issues that come up, and having some of that youth out there that hasn't been out on the field, they're going through those growing pains early in the season. And we're hoping that this, last one against Cambridge, we could turn the corner. And we believe we have done that looking at some of the film that we had watched all week, that there's things that are now in the vault and behind us, the good, the bad, the ugly. But we are, focusing on the positive, and there were a lot of positives to take out of last week.
Sparringer made the most of his 4 completions, 85 yards, a touchdown. He did have an interception, but that happens with quarterbacks. Great job by him. Two receivers kind of split yards and had pretty even yardage. But your running game, 3 guys very close. Gibson 83, Sparringer had 68 yards, and Cart had 67 and a touchdown. spreading things around to a lot of people, that's got to make a lot of people happy.
Oh, you know what? And that's the whole thing you want to do is be balanced. So to see that from him and some of the things that we got to do. We even went down the field right before halftime and was right on the verge of scoring. And, we didn't have the right read. It happened. And, there was a mesh underneath route we probably could have hit there. But, that the credit to Cambridge and the way they played their coverage on that one. But, Ty had a great game. He definitely had a scenario where it was just one of them misfires that happened. But the biggest thing is we responded. I said that earlier. Even though we didn't get that touchdown right before half, we responded and challenged those kids at halftime that we need to come out. We had deferred and got the ball to start the half, and we had a 42-yard return on the opening kickoff of the second half on Michael Gibson, and it put us in play, and we drove down the field, and Connor Cart was the kid that took it in for us, and I think they're seeing the vision of the whole thing and the way it's happening in front of them.
Well, second half especially, no points. 5 sacks in that game, led by Marcus Reed with 2. Talk about your defense with him.
Well, lining up. I know Coach DeMarzio was talking about that. Often was getting him in the right scenarios to be successful. And there's a lot of times where we weren't getting it correct in the first couple games, and now we're starting to see it slowly. It's starting to happen. And I know he's very pleased, and we're all very pleased about what we had seen in that Cambridge game and what we've seen all week with the way we've been practicing. That it's just the basic fundamentals. It's getting in the right spot. It's tackling and it's rallying in pursuit to the ball. And you can draw up all the schemes you want, but it really comes down to that. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're seeing now that Coach DeMarzio is getting from those guys.
Very, very simple approach. I like it. But one thing I wanted to touch on, Coach, was the fact of you stepped away from the norm at Brook and you got into the Buckeye 8. Well, who made that decision and what went into that?
Well, that was prior to me, and I believe that was an administrative decision. And considering, with us being in Northern Panhandle School, obviously, that we're on the road a lot. And the travel. And when you start looking at the proximity of the schools near us, they all fit the classification in the state of West Virginia because you have to play 6 equivalents in your class. So we're AAA, so we need to play AAA schools when it comes to enrollment anywhere near us. So in this case, I believe it fell into a scenario where the Buckeye 8 has a lot of AAA schools when it comes to enrollment in West Virginia. So for us to get that on our schedule and get the local fan base and some of the rivalries that are there, the natural rivalries are there.
Absolutely.
And I know the ADs are happy because you get stronger gates.
Yep.
But the pricing on charter buses now, I knew when I was at Weir, some of the playoff runs we made, we were $12,000 bus rides and not counting the meals. So, you have a local game now. You're not making that, big trip out east or, below the Charleston, and you're playing some local teams. You're not quite getting the feel of West Virginia. You get to kind of venture out there a few times during the year, which we're doing this year with Elkins. But I believe what administration has seen all along, that, they want to get a local feel, get teams that are AAA equivalent. And, and there's nothing tougher than High Valley football. And we see that often. When we go off and make the playoffs, we're very challenged when you play High Valley teams because they're well prepared. The atmospheres you're in, that it's really, second nature and easier for us to go into those environments downstate because of the equivalent of, opponents we've played or maybe not matching up with the conference that they had played. There might be top heavy in some of these teams that are down south. But when we finish with a great record in the High Valley, you're pretty much on your way when it comes to playing football in the state of West Virginia.
Yeah, good stuff, good thought. I appreciate that. Coach, let's talk about this week's opponent in Indian Creek.
And I tell you what, they've got about 5 or 6 kids that are massive.
Yeah, they're big.
They're big. They're well coached. They have, I think, an average of 6'4", 275 up front. And it all starts there. And I believe 14 kids were on the playoff team last year, 14 starters. I think they got 7 on both sides of the ball. And you have, I think their line's got over 100 starts, I believe. And it's the way they approach things. It's the way they, attack the line of scrimmage with the running backs. And I know that there's some kids there that are seasoned when it comes to playing in big games. And last year, I believe, 8-2 playoff run for Creek. So you can start there with the fact that these kids are well prepared and they're big and they're physical, and they just come off a win that we had saw against Union Local, who we have a lot of respect for that football program and the way they play things. So I know that it's going to be an extreme challenge to go over there into Wintersville, and it always is. I remember as a kid playing Wintersville High School, and to go over there and play a game at Kettlewell was always a challenge for the obvious reasons, but we're up to that challenge. We're in a situation where we want to be in that big arena, if you will, because we need to see where we're at when it comes to progression into this season and to where things project in the long run when it comes to our 2025 season.
Well, nice win you had against Cambridge will keep that should vault you pretty well. I don't know if you can beat Indian Creek, but I'm going to guess that it's going to be a dogfight, and that your kids, Brook kids have always been resilient, and now that you got them going, they got to see things and see success in order to believe, and you've got that.
Well, we understand physicality and tough play. We scrimmage Wheeling Park, we scrimmage Wheeling Central, we played Beaver Local, we played Lindsley, and we had Cambridge on the road. So we understand physicality and tough football. Our kids are up to the challenge. We're excited about it, and we're looking forward to Friday night, obviously.
Should be a great
High
game.
Valley Sports Online is going to be there live streaming that game, Coach. We appreciate you all the time, Coach. Thanks so much.
Phil,
good luck.
thank you.
Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is Frank Cini, head coach, brought to you by Brooke County Schools. They got Indian Creek this week. Ohio Valley Sports Online will be there, be on air at 6:45 from Kettlewell Stadium. We'll be right back with Coach T.J. Miller of Oak Glen. Thank you, Frank.
You're welcome.
A Bruin symbolizes strength, adaptability, and resilience. From the moment a child enters Brooke County schools, they are forever known as a Bruin. They have pride in themselves and the schools they attend. A Bruin can navigate challenging situations and will always work to embrace change. A Bruin ensures all students understand what it means to be a part of something special and have a sense of belonging where they can study, compete, and succeed. Want to learn more about what it means to be a Bruin? Visit BruinPride.net.
Discover the thrill of local sports with Ohio Valley Sports Online, your go-to YouTube channel for all things sports in the Ohio Valley region. Dive into live games, exclusive interviews, and expert commentary that keeps you at the heart of the action. By subscribing to OVSO, you ensure you never miss a moment. Hit the like button and subscribe today to receive instant notifications whenever we go live. Join the community and
This is A&B Heating. All right, we're on here, Ohio Valley Sports Online, from the Harp and the Habit. Coach T.J. Miller, the new star up at Oak Glen. You're on a roll, Coach. I tell you, brought to you by A&B Heating and Cooling. Coach, we're going to see you this week. Let's talk about last week's game. Give us a little bit of insight on it.
Yeah, we played Belpre, Ohio. We came out strong. I think second play of the game, Logan Murray took one to the house, got it going early. And then we just had a slew of things going on. And
he has been a beast for you. Excuse me, Coach. I mean, I mean, he has burst onto the scene from that Weir High game, and he hasn't looked back.
No, you know what? You could tell, like I said, we've talked before, he missed last year, and he just hit the ground running. He's been great for us. You know, every week I talk about him. Extremely coachable kid. He's got it all.
He had an off night. He was 116 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. You know what? We had Maddox Bowen got to go out there and showcase a little bit. We spread the ball around. Got some of our skill guys. You know, we got a slew of skill guys involved with, you know, Cam Carter, Josh Marr, Devin Eustock, Chase Hartung. We got weapons in a lot of places. So,
Coach, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing you. We're going to do this game, and we're going to do the Steubenville Central game against you. But just from somebody looking from outside, as I am, it seems to me like your enthusiasm with your kids and the kids in general, it just seems like it's contagious to me that like you know, you guys are just feeding off of each other.
Yeah.
And I've been around long enough to know it looks like you got something good going on this year.
Yeah, you know what?
It just gives me a good feeling.
Yeah, Phil knows me pretty well, and I'm usually pretty even keel. But I've been pretty high octane all summer, all fall with these guys. They're a great group to be around, extremely coachable. I say that every week. I'm blessed with a great group my first year. Cannot say enough good things about the boys on our team. They work their butts off for me, you know, when I'm stern and I'm, you know, getting them with all these little things and giving them hills for all the little things and, you know, getting to school on time and being respectful in the classroom and taking care of the little things on the field. And they're very, very receptive of it. There's no bickering, complaining. They're like, yes, sir, we'll take care of it. You know, we're just trying to get a good culture where these guys are, you know, coming in, developing into good young men, and we're playing some good football at the same time.
All those things you're talking about, being on time for school and being respectful in the classroom, that filters over onto the football field. That self-discipline that you've got them, you know, doing right there really helps in the football. And you've got a coaching staff that has very similar personality to you. And those guys, Ty Loxton, and I talk about Ty because I love Ty. Ty was one of my workers when I was at Oak Lab, and I love Ty, and I think he's a great kid, and I think he's going to be a great young man, a great coach, and he's really done a good job for you.
Yeah, no, Ty's done a great job. You know, we got a slew of guys on staff. Mm-hmm. You know, we got 10 coaches this year, and I could go down each and every one of them. It's a great mix of coaches. They do a great job. We meet on Sundays, and they do a phenomenal job game planning. We're there for hours, you know, studying film, all that good stuff that the coaches do on football weekends. And, you know, I got a great group. You know, I got a young guy, you know, Coach Cornell. He's took special teams for me on Friday nights. Brand new coach, head wrestling coach at Oak Glen. Does an exceptional job for me. You know, it was a learning curve for him. He's owned it. He comes prepared. He takes pride in preparing the right way. And he's one. I could go all night on each guy on our staff. We have a great mix of guys. It's a great group. They're fun to coach with. I couldn't ask for a better coaching group.
I mean, you know, that's all well and done, but I'm just saying it makes it easier because it looks to me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you play. I mean, just the chemistry that you got going on with your team, I mean, that makes it easy to coach them, man. Not taking nothing away from the coaches, but when kids are looking at you, man, and you see the whites of their eyes and they are locked in on you, I mean, it makes it a joy to coach. It just gives me the impression that everybody is invested in this movement.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a big thing. I got good from the administration at the school. Like, these kids, they're excited right now, you know, and they've bought into what I've been bringing to them. You know, even not as much the X's and O's. I give my fair share of X's and O's, and I got great guys that do the X's and O's, but I've been so passionate about the culture and just the family and the community and just getting these guys excited and, you know, wanting to run through a brick wall for each other, this team. You know, I see these guys every day in school because, you know, I'm one of the IT guys in our county, and I travel, and I got a great job with Hancock County Schools, and I see these guys every day. I talk to them, interact with them, joke with them, you know, but, you know, when I'm stern and I pick up that energy, they know. They're very receptive, very responsive. Just such a great group of kids. And, yeah, they're very energetic, and I'm very blessed. They feed off me really, really well. And, like I said, I love being around them, and I love, you know, each and every one of the guys on our team. It's such a good group, and it's a fun time right now to coach them. Really
All right,
is.
well, you're okay, Phil. I want to move into Toronto. What's your thoughts on Toronto? You got something before that, Phil?
One little thing before that. This game ended early. It was 43-0. The game ended early. It was basically in one half of football because there was a severe injury to one of the Belpre players. Can you tell us what's the update on his status?
Yeah, you know what? So our teams got together at the end, kind of did a little prayer thing together, and really receptive of Belpre and their kid. And
A lot of respect from them.
Yeah, we got a lot of good feedback, which that's, stuff like that. We're not looking for the feedback. We're just in there for the kid. And we got, good news that it was just, well, not good news, but better news than what it could have been, that it was a bad concussion, real bad concussion. He's able to go home that night. And,
Good.
prayers to him, and hopefully he gets a speedy recovery for them. And
send out our best to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coach, talk about Toronto. Looking forward to the game. I mean, going to be a big challenge for you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you know what? They're a very talented team. Got a lot of respect for their team and what they bring. I know the Boucher boy real well for him, actually. I know their family. It's a great family. He runs the ball well. He plays hard. Got some big boys up front, like Heath Thomas. He's a big boy. I coached him a little bit in that JC travel a few years back. So I'm familiar with some of their kids. You got, speedy guy and Brady Fair. I believe that's Melissa and PT. I know.
PT Duffy stepson.
He can fly.
Listen, I played a lot of softball with PT. Shout out to my man PT Duffy over there with Twine.
Condolences to Duffy. His mom just passed away a couple of
weeks. Brady over there, watching him, very, very speedy kid. So yeah, a lot of talent on that team. Speed, big up front. They run the football very well. A lot of respect for him, but we're gearing up this week. We've had good practices, and we're gonna give it heck and get after it.
Teams looked at you up until this week and said, okay, they seem to be more one-dimensional. With Logan Murray and running the ball. You showed a lot of things in this last game where Maddox was 8 of 11 with 2 touchdowns. I mean, what do you expect to see their defense? What you have now, I mean, you've shown a lot of diversity in your offense.
I do think we're more than one-dimensional. I have
absolutely
nothing but confidence in Maddox and what he brings to the table. Very athletic kid, I've said from day one. Can run the ball well for a quarterback, runs around really well. He throws really well. And we got a good, slew of receivers around him. And we got a great line up front. So we're starting to put the pieces together. I think as we go, we've been working on things little by little each week. And Maddox does a great job for us. You got to see a little bit of it last week. First couple games, we just take whatever they give us and we go with it. In the first couple of games, we had Logan take off and we just fed the hot hand. And last week, we got Maddox involved a little bit more with the throwing, and he threw a few touchdown passes, and we got some of the skill guys involved. So yeah, we're definitely showing.
What do you expect to see defensively from Toronto?
They're very athletic on defense. They're quick. They fly to the football very well. Seem pretty disciplined as well. So we'll have to be on our A game. We'll have to execute. We'll have to, stay on our guys, stay on our blocks long term. Our receivers will have to be involved. Get the ball around. They're tough on defense. They fly around. Respect to them. But we put together we feel is a good game plan. We're going to get the ball spread around and do our thing and hopefully take it to them a little bit.
Really looking forward to it, Coach. I mean, can't wait.
You talked about Maddox. He's just a sophomore in age.
Yeah.
But he plays like a senior quarterback. I mean, he's a leader, and he between him and Logan Murray, I mean, that's going to be a tough thing for anybody to defend.
Yeah, you know what, Maddox. He's a sophomore, but he plays out of his shoes. I think I said that week
absolutely.
2. I think I said that week 1 or week 2. He plays out of his shoes. He's great leader for us. We got a lot of great leaders. My guys up front, too. Some of my best leaders also are on our line with Cam Hebrock and Lucas Zellers and Noah Schmidt. And, we have just a good group of senior leaders. We got some young guys that are being great leaders and stepping up to the challenge. And these guys are hyped. They're excited.
Yeah,
they're seeing
enthusiastic.
Yeah, they're seeing.
I see one thing.
Success,
I see your linemen and Maddox and Logan. They go out and get together and have dinner, or whatever, frequently, and you got to be pleased to death with that.
Yeah, they kind of do that on their own, and they do they're a very close knit group. I don't have to worry so much about they take care of things. They're passionate. They want to succeed. They're doing a bunch of little things right now, and our young guys are working hard too, giving us a look each day at practice, and it's a good thing going. They're seeing some success, but it's still the same mentality this week. 1-0 this week. One day at a time, one game at a time. I preach it. We're getting geared for Toronto. We know, respect what they have, and we're going to hopefully put a good product out there for senior night on Friday night. It's going to be a great atmosphere.
Senior night, beautiful,
Senior night, yeah.
beautiful.
It's going to be a packed house. We hope. We got a great community support. So
I think you'll get a good crowd.
Yeah, we've seen some good crowds the last couple of weeks, and we're expecting the same.
Oak Glen's a tight knit community, and they follow they
love
their kids and they love their school.
Well, we're looking forward to it. I can't tell you how excited we are here at the High Valley Sports Online. I'll be calling that game. We'll be on the air 6:45. This is the Harp and the Habits Ohio Valley Sports Coaches Show, Oak Glen segment with TJ Miller. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check us out Friday night. We got 2 games, Oak Glen, Toronto, and Indian Creek, Brook. Thanks for tuning in. See you then. Bye-bye.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. Good luck, buddy.